On today's walk, the lovely James is modelling. now, a lot of people like these technical reviews, and I may as well join the party, not giving technical reviews as such, but just share with people the kit choices I've made and why I've made them and what my experiences are of certain pieces of kit. Starting with this shirt, which is Paramo Katmai. Now, I've used all kinds of shirts. In fact, in the very early days I used to use ordinary cotton shirts, which were rubbish. Thermal properties are no good, they get soaked, they don't dry out and so forth, we all know that. Then I moved on to synthetics, which were also rubbish because yes, the thermal properties are better, they do dry, they do wick, but they feel yuck, they feel really nasty because they are synthetic. Always used to rip mine off at the end of the day. You know, glad to be rid of it after a day's walking. Then I moved on to silk base layers, which were lovely. I liked them quite a lot. I'll come back to that in a second. Then I moved on to merino wool because I thought it might be better, slightly warmer, which it is, but decided I didn't like merino wool because when it gets wet it doesn't dry very well, very easily. You lose the thermal properties, so you're walking in a soggy base layer. I didn't really like it, I decided. Went back to silk a little bit, and then I got this Paramo Katmai, which is a shirt, so it's got pockets, it's got a good zip pocket which you can use. It's very handy. It's a lot more comfortable than the other kinds of base layers I've referred to because it's looser. I can't stand skin tight stuff, and the other kinds of base layers are really designed to be worn close to the skin. This is a shirt and you can wear it loosely. It dries very, very effectively. It feels great, almost like silk because it's sort of smooth and soft, although it is in fact synthetic. It's quite expensive, but for me it's perfect. I prefer it to every other kind of top base layer I've tried. Silk I do use occasionally still, but the merino wool I've pretty much given up on. My trousers are North Face. They only make a few types. I can't remember which ones these are called, but they're lightweight summer ones. They're light and they're cool. They're really excellent. They've got this nice little button-up feature here, so you can have them sort of 3/4, which I find a very handy length in warm conditions, but you don't necessarily want to zip them off, but you can zip them off. I really like zip-offs. I don't like being with trousers where you can't zip off the bottoms. They're so much more versatile. Can't understand why people, you know, don't use zip-offs all the time. I do. The only thing I'd say about them is that they're not particularly durable. They've ripped around the crotch area quite badly, and they've now ripped around the bum area quite badly, possibly even worse actually. It doesn't bother me too much. I mean, I'll still use them in the heels because who cares, who notices? But I will have to buy a new pair quite soon. It's obviously not ideal. If it starts to rain, if there's strong wind, yes, I will get wet and I will get a little bit cold. So they're really good. They're comfortable. That's the main thing with trousers, I find, because I tried on a few different types. I've had these about 3 or 4 years, and these were brilliantly comfortable for me. They're just a really good fit, which the others definitely were not. So pay attention to comfort with trousers. These North Face, the fabric is very light, very dryable, so if they get wet they dry quite quickly. They're cool for summer. They're a little bit borderline for winter conditions, although I do use them sometimes for that. I prefer not to. Really I should buy some winter trousers, but I don't walk in cold conditions very much, so I haven't got round to it yet. Brilliant trousers, I like them. They've got a Velcro hip pocket on one leg and a zip pocket on the other leg, so I stash away important stuff in those, and they've got what do you call them, sort of netting pockets for the main pockets where I carry little pieces of food, that kind of stuff, for the activities of the day. Great trousers, I like them because they're comfortable, but they're not particularly durable. My shoes, or sandals rather, are Keen Boulder sandals. Now, a lot of people use trail shoes these days, particularly the Innovates. I tried Innovates and I didn't like them because they're rather narrow. I understand that Keen sandals have a tradition going back to decking shoes for boats, and as a consequence they're quite wide. They're notably wide, which makes them brilliantly stable. I really like them. They're really comfy. They've got a good mechanism here. Look, you can do it one-handed. You can literally do it one-handed. It's very quick, simple and efficient. The grip is extremely good. The heel cup for the overall sort of stability when you walk around is also extremely good. I actually use Superfeet insoles in these. I got them at a bargain price. They're only about £15. You usually pay quite a lot for those, which I wouldn't actually, because I think it's a bloody rip-off. With my feet, I have to say, they make very little, if any, difference at all, because I think my feet are quite good. My arches and the general sort of structure of my feet, they examined them when they got these Superfeet insoles, and they said, yeah, you got good feet. I've never had any problems, so I'm not sure they add anything particularly, but they're only £15 and it was worth a go. A lot of people find them excellent. I don't find, for me, they make a great deal of difference. Base layer, underwear. No, I'm not showing you that. No, I'm not. No, I'm not. It's merino wool. I can't remember the brand. I come from New Zealand, I think. I mean, they were shipped over from New Zealand. They're brilliant. They're unobtrusive. You don't notice them. They're comfortable. They're wicking. For us chaps, they're quite stable, shall we say, comfortable in that way as well, which is important when it gets cold in particular. That's why I use merino briefs. I don't want to wear the boxers because it's sort of unnecessary fabric and too warm when the weather's warm. Moving round, tarp tent rainbow. I've had it for about 5 or 6 years now. It's light, it only weighs about 700 or 800 grams. You put it up in a few minutes. The room for one is excellent. In fact, I'll show you. Look at this, it's very spacious for one. Velcro, what do you call it, door things. This is a dodgy pitch because, yeah, I might have to change it actually, but it's not. It's a very bad place for pitching. It works, but it's really not. Oh no, this isn't going to work. Okay, hold on. No, I'm going to have to change the pitch. It's a very difficult place. It does work, but it's just a bit odd. Anyway, look, here's me. I don't know if you can get a sense of the scale of it or not, but it's very spacious for one. It's single skin. Not everyone likes single skin. Actually, I'll close this thing. I'll be out of the window, won't I? I've never found it a problem with regard to condensation. To start with, because it's so big for one, you know, you just don't touch the walls. There's so much room. Even if it does get condensation, it's not a problem. And only once have I had significant condensation, but then you get that in a double skin tent anyway. So what's the difference? What's the big deal? It's light. It's not particularly stable. That's the one disadvantage. It's definitely 3-season, not 4-season. It's got these netting. It's got a sort of netting layer down here, which is good for ventilation. It's not good for cold when you want to be protected from the wind. What's that? No. No, no, I'm not showing you my underwear. No. What else have I got? Okay. This is a PhD sleeping bag. I actually went to the factory about 4 or 5 years ago, something like that. I don't know if there's much to say about it, except that I got it in a sale. It was some sort of bargain price. Can't remember exactly what happened, but the person gave it to me at an even better discount. I think it was because I was personally in the store and I got chatting to them a little bit. It's well, what can I say? It's light. I don't know how much it weighs. I can't remember. Are they about? Let's have a very rough guess. About 300 or 400 grams, I would say. It's 3-season and it's light, so that does the job for me, because I don't camp in cold conditions unless I have to. I have done once or twice. When it is a bit colder, I use a silk layer. We have body layering, so why not have rucksack layering? It makes brilliant sense. If I think it might be a bit cold, I carry this as well. It doesn't weigh very much, although it's a reasonable weight actually compared to some fabrics, because it's good stuff. You know, it's good fabric, but it adds probably another couple of degrees to the comfort of a sleeping bag. This is a Thermarest. It's the later one, which came out a few years ago. It's not cutting edge now, because they've made further developments. They've sliced off some of the corners to lose a few grams, and there's now one where you can get cutouts, which I don't know about that, because, well, the ergonomics of it and the function of it I think is a bit dodgy. So this is not the super lightest one, but you only gain about 80 grams or something if you get the sort of later cutout version. It's much better than the previous thick orange one which they used to make. It's a lot more compact and significantly lighter, takes up much less room in your rucksack, and it's just as comfortable, if not more so. I got a Reb technical micro fleece. Got it in this sale. I think it was about £22 or something. Reb is quite expensive otherwise. I think it's normally about 40-45 or something. What can I say? It does the job as a good layer. It's with me quite a lot of the time. I also have this rather nice what is it called? Hold on. Oh yeah, here it is. This rather nice Patagonia down shirt. Now, I've made a video reviewing this in particular, so I won't say a great deal about it, except that look at the size of it. It's you know, it weighs nothing. It's very compact, and it's another additional layer, and it's down. So it's a great system. This is slightly bulkier and slightly heavier, and if you don't want to have another fleece with it, then this works very well. You can also use this sort of over the top, doesn't have to be an underneath layer. I use the Caldera cone, which is the best mesh system there is. Brilliant, super efficient. I got this for a bargain price as well. I can't remember precisely why. I think it was missing the sleeve or something. I got it for about £10, because normally that's about, I think they're quite expensive. I think they're about 60 or something, which is ridiculous. But it's the best meth system there is, I think. Titanium mug, pretty basic. Mine might be Alp kit, can't remember now. Had it for years. What can you say? Just buy a mug. You got it for 40-50 years probably. The cone is slightly delicate. That's one thing I would say about it. Super efficient, brilliant piece of kit. Expensive if you do buy it at the normal prices, but it's rather delicate. But if you slot it, this is a plastic drinks bottle cut in half, and one end slots into the other. You sort of jam it down, which works quite well to protect it. But then I thought, okay, well, let's my battery ran out there, so I'll just carry on. Yeah, so then I thought, well, yes, but it can still get sort of dented slightly, and because I carry 2 mugs, I have this other little super light, very lightweight aluminium mug. I bought that from these bargain basement sports shops. Can't remember the name of it. It was only about £3 or something, and I carry that as well because I find for my kitchen purposes it's extremely useful to have 2 cups rather than 1, and it's lots up like that. It's not a perfect fit, but it's pretty good, and it works quite well. I've got an anti-gravity gear pot which works with the Caldera cone. The cone is sort of tailor-made for particular pots, and this is what I used. I bought this a long time ago. It's not high-tech, it's quite cheap, it's aluminium, didn't cost a great deal, but it's as light as fancy titanium equipment, and it costs very little, about £20 or £25 or something. With the Cozy, which is extremely effective, it works very well. The one slight disadvantage maybe is the fact that it doesn't have attached handles. You have to use this thing, which, yeah, it's slightly more fuss, and if you should ever lose that, you'd be you know, a bit stuck. It would be a bit awkward, but it's really not a big deal, so I'm quite pleased with that. What else have I got? My jacket, it's a North Face pack light. I've had it for a long time, and I'll probably be upgrading that quite soon. Pack light is really good for, as the name suggests, packing light, and it's good for shower use, but it's not the most breathable fabric, and yeah, so I want to upgrade that sometime. I think that's about it. That's all my main stuff. What's that? No, I'm not showing you my merino underwear briefs. No, I'm not going to. No, stop it. Okay. Yeah, me trekking poles. Lecky carbon. It is definitely worth buying carbon trekking poles, or possibly super lightweight aluminium ones. That I think they're pretty much just as good. But it is definitely worth buying light trekking poles. They do make a difference. Reviews I'd read suggested that you won't notice much difference between I don't know, 350 gram poles and 450 or 500 gram poles. I don't agree. It makes a really big difference. Just wait for the wind. When I got those poles after using some previous ones which are a bit heavier, it was much better using those. So yeah, I think that's about it. I've got my hat, my cowboy hat. I can't remember what it is. I mean, you know, these little peripheral pieces of kit, people go on and on about stuff. Or, you know, this one's 50 grams light, or, you know, blah blah blah. It does the job. It wasn't particularly expensive, and you do need a hat in very hot conditions. So, yeah, that'll do. That'll do for my kit report for the Rhinogs in Wales. I'm not showing you my underwear. Nope, stop it, nope. Alright, I'll show you my merino underwear. No, just kidding. The other thing I forgot, of course, which is a major part of your kit, is my rucksack, and it shows how much attention I pay to kit. You know, kit's just a tool. It's not something to drool over and flash around like a Ferrari or something. But you know, there's good kit and there's bad kit, and there's good kit and there's better kit, and so forth. And this is excellent. It's a ULA conduit prior to this I used a Go Light jam, I think it was, which was also excellent, very lightweight, comfortable, secure. But this is just much better and more refined in every way. I particularly like this large kangaroo pouch thing, which works extremely well. These work extremely well. They're surprisingly tough as well. I was unsure how strong they would be, but they are very, very strong. It's capacious. It takes a lot of kit. I've used this for my Pyrenean trips of 2 weeks plus. Carrying everything for 3 or 4 days at a time, I find it was just adequate. I sort of had to strap baguettes onto the top of it and things like that, which is not ideal actually, but it was just doable. It's very comfortable. The straps are good. It's more comfortable than the Go Light actually. The straps are good. It's got these nice little pockets here which are handy for day-to-day stuff. I've got some my water purification chemicals in here. Aquamira, chlorine dioxide. I don't like iodine. I've never used iodine actually, but I don't like the idea of it because it is actually poisonous, which is ridiculous. You know, you can't take too much of it. Well, better off not taking any of it then. You don't have to poison yourself with iodine. You can take this chlorine dioxide and a tiny little Swiss Army knife, which is very handy. I can't see the point of carrying a big knife, even if a big Swiss Opinel knife, something like that, is nice for cutting bread and that kind of thing. It's extra bulk and weight, and you can hack away with it with this little knife. And it's got some nail clippers as well, which are well, not essential, but very, very useful if you're on a 2-week trip or even a 1-week trip, to keep your nails down to size. You don't want ridiculously long nails, so that's a nice little piece of kit as well. Quite happy with that. Okay, that's about it. No, I'm not showing you my underwear. That was a joke. I was not serious. No, I'm not showing you my underwear. Stop it.